understand why you ended up changing the name. Yes, you changed the name, but that's not why you really changed the name. So I can see her being upset, but that's a conversation she needs to then go have with Mel. But she
Hmm.
decided to bring it to the space because she was upset.
But
I
even with
think
the name, right? Because she can prove that, right? Or yeah, I think she can prove the name. She said that the whole thing was her idea, and I'm like, how are you gonna? That's
no,
just
I'm saying even outside of that,
gossip.
just of the fact that what Mel went on the pod and said, knowing that they had that situation going, that alone would give me would be that alone would make me upset, regardless of anything else after the fact. The fact that you just even went publicly and said that, knowing that this is what really happened, I'm gonna be upset. I can now then come to you, which is what S should have done. But now she's playing the whole "we were never really friends." And why the fuck was you so busy trying to do a pod with her?
Nah, we missing the point though. She said Mel was dubbing her calls and texts. That's a big point. If somebody's dubbing my calls, I'm
Well,
going
yeah,
to
that's what
social.
ghosting means. She said Mel
Oh,
ghosted
sorry, I didn't
her.
hear that. That's all right.
Yeah, she said Mel ghosted her and
Feet.
didn't renegotiate. She, instead of negotiating again, Mel ghosted her and then came out with the new name. I mean, that's an answer in itself. She ain't want to do it with you no more. She let you have your shit and she went and did
But is
something
that
else.
what a friend does? I'm not. I mean, if we're
S
really
said
friends, I'm
they
not
not
dubbing my
friends.
They
homie
said
though.
they're not friends
Yeah,
though.
S said they
I'm
not
not
she
dubbing
friends.
was
my.
like,
I'm
"We
not
were
dubbing my nigga
never
though.
friends."
S said they were never friends.
I
I'm
love
so
whenever
I'm
bitches do
so
that.
sick of that friend word in
I
podcasting.
So if
love when bitches do that. We were never friends.
Yo, it's so crazy because Joe just said this last episode. Like, wait till friendships will get tested when you start a podcast. And now look,
Honest to
Um,
God.
Zach, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. How you doing, brother?
I could not be better. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, brother. Look, it's funny. I've been listening. Obviously, been listening to Joe Budden Pod for a while. This whole situation really highlights why Melissa Ford should have just been the Melissa Ford podcast from the beginning. People make pods all the time, and for those who don't really know or create pods, the truth is there's always mess when it comes to building a pod with like more than one person. It's just the fact that it's Melissa Ford that we are talking all about it like this. There's issues with the name, issues with the idea. But eh, it's part of the creation process. I mean, all of this is like kind of much ado about nothing. I get it because it's Melissa Ford, but again, like lessons learned all around. Great rollout. Hopefully, we just call this thing the Melissa Ford podcast in about a year because that's who everybody's coming to see. Ain't nobody coming to see S or anybody else. Respectfully. Now, this is not me in women's business, okay? But we are here to check out Melissa Ford. I remember looking at Melissa Ford when I was 14 years old at a barbershop. I remember seeing her on those magazines,
yep,
Melissa Ford in those videos,
talk about it.
and I remember Melissa Ford when she was a guest on the Joe Budden pod. I was like, oh shoot, it's Melissa Ford. Me as a grown man, it's like that's what we're here for. We're not here for nothing else, and it's cool. It's no big deal. People getting their feelings. People talk about they were never friends. Okay, cool. So you shouldn't be mad when I don't respond to you then, since we're never friends, right? We had a
hello.
conversation. We had a conversation. You had terms. I said I don't want to do that, and then you were like, "Where you at?" We moving on. The ghost is the answer. I didn't respond to you. You gave me options. I just decided to move forward. You are left as whole as you started, which was with nothing. You started with nothing. You ended with nothing. I got my own thing now. It's okay. It's no
I
big deal.
couldn't. I could not agree with Zach more. I think in podcasting, a lot of times, especially urban, I hate that word podcasting. We make good news be bad news, right? Like I heard that young lady last night say, "I don't trust Melissa Ford." Well, then that is great news that you're not about to enter into a multi-year agreement with someone that you don't trust. I'm not speaking for Mel, but if Mel even felt that a little bit and said, okay, best for me not to enter a multi-year agreement with somebody where it's feeling a little funny from the rip, then that's to be celebrated. That's great news that you learned that before any episode went out. That's what I think.
I agree for once.
What you mean for
Listen,
Dora? You be agreeing with me. You just a publicist, so
Shut up.
you be agreeing though.
Sometimes, niggas. So, um, I also have a question. This might be too much of a marketing question for you guys, but who do you guys think Melissa Ford's target audience is, and do you think that she's talking to them or has talked to them yet?
Ask it again. Say it
I
Oh
again.
yeah,
didn't
let
hear
me
you,
ask it
Dory.
again.
Say it again.
Who is Melissa Ford's target audience?
You have to ask Melissa Ford.
That's a good point. So I feel like whenever she went on her Instagram live, that was like the first time that she was really like talking to her people, versus like everyone else. And she had about, from what I looked, because I had to look, 895 people in the live, and she was like being able to get her message across. She came across very nicely, approachable, all of these things, got us hyped for it, and all of this stuff. But I think that with like all the other ways that she's been marketing this, it hasn't really been like targeted towards her audience. Like she mentioned it on the JBP, which I don't think is her target audience. I think that that's just kind of like an addition. And then she like put up like two posts or whatever that didn't really explain any much of anything. But that's another part of the rollout that kind of pisses me off, is I'm like, you're not even talking to your people for real. And then like
Who do you think her people
like
are?
us, like I think that her, like, not us as in like the JBP fans, but I think that her people are women who are seeking a certain type of information, and then being able to inform a vast majority of other people as well. But like I think that it's her target is women, but she's able to appeal to a mass audience, which is why she changed the name.
Okay, I'm going to mute everyone for a brief second. We have some of my favorite people on stage. Hey, Grandpa Rick, I see you, girl. Some people that I really love in the audience. Hey, Micah. Uh, but we have Melissa here. Someone must have said something to pull her from the ANOMs, because I swore she was not supposed to be here. But I would like to give her an opportunity. Just say good morning. And we're up now. She's not here.
Look what you did. Look what you did.
Mel, no, I love all this shit too. Mel, we will continue the discourse. If you would like to say a word, just hit the button or shout me a text. We are talking about the power of the Lord. All right. You guys were up. She hit the request. She hit the request. Let's bring the lady up now. Mel, I know you're older. Do you know how to work the phone? Hello, unmute.
Shut the fuck up.
Good, good morning, hootie
Hooty
hoo.
hoo. Good
What up,
morning,
Mel?
everybody.
Good morning.
What brings you here?
Good
Morning.
You
morning.
caused a stir, Melissa Ford.
Damn, look how phony I am already. Hey,
Mm.
Mel.
Melissa
Hey.
Ford. Melissa
Hey.
Ford.
All right, I'm muting y'all because I the community is communitying right now. Let's just let Mel talk about the Lord on her own, uninterrupted. Hey, Mel. All right, it might be a double mute. I've unmuted. Hello, hello, hello.
There, I'm back.
Okay, there we go. So, what brings you here?
I was just strolling through the community and saw that there was a spaces going on. I said, hey, let me go say hi to everybody. It seems that there's a little bit of a kerfuffle going on, and I thought that maybe I needed to know what was popping. I'm over here in Atlanta. I'm filming content, taping episodes, hanging out with the Poor Minds girls and stuff, and then my phone was blowing up. I was like, "Ooh, what's going on? This is kind of crazy."
You've got the streets in quite a frenzy,
Yeah, yeah.
Savannah. You're being Savannah as of late.
Oh man.
Or were you listening to us in the ANOMs?
Yeah, and boy, you guys are astute. You guys are some smart cookies up in here. Just all of your observations um are very quite a few of them are very spot on. And I just want to be very cognizant of what I say, because like I heard, I am very media trained, but that doesn't stop me from being a human being and a person who's affected by the words and opinions of others at times, especially when there's a narrative being painted of you that is so far removed from who you are. And, I just kind of have a question, and this is for everybody and anybody. And maybe it's a little rhetorical or whatever the case is, but it's just like when somebody begins a narrative of you, like, oh, she's not a girl's girl, then what are you supposed to do to counter that? Do you bring the trailer load of girls from all over the world that are your girlfriends, that love you and support you and would scream it from rooftops to defend your character? Because that's a very big ask, and that's a little kind of ridiculous, to counter such a cheesy attempt at maligning somebody's character, especially when you take into account what their hidden motives and intentions may be. When somebody talks about, oh, I don't want to be famous, mm, your actions don't really dictate that you're telling the truth there. So, what else are you not being completely forthright about? Let me tell you something. I don't ghost. There was an email that went out where I rescinded my participation from the project because I started to see things that just looked a little funky. And I was funding the entire project. And in addition to that, I had already been filming episodes late last year with somebody completely different. When I started I'm Here for the Food, I did a casting, and 80 women came to the casting, and I ended up selecting two. And that is how I look for my co-hosts. I've done the casting with, famous women, women with names, but somehow I have this in my head where I'm like, I want to pluck two women out of obscurity, and I want to give them a platform, and I want to raise their profile. And that is a decision that I am beginning to question, that I might have to talk to my therapist about, because why do I keep putting myself in that position, you know? And so, to me, after funding everything, um, and the question of the contract and whatnot and whatever else, I mean, well, then why are you showing up to film episodes if the contract is not worked out? Why are you showing up to photo shoots if the contract is not worked out? So it's just like, where's the priorities? Across the board, maybe nobody's priorities were completely on the up and up, because, or not in the up and up, but just placed in the right way, because we were trying to put a podcast out with a timeline. October is Menopause Awareness Month. I really, 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 really wanted to get out then. And also, let's be clear, there's no money to even be discussing splits. How long does it take a podcast to start making money? And Joe, you can pipe up here. How long does it take to for a podcast to start making money? All of the money that was spent came from me. So the debt is what there was. There was no money. So what are we even talking about? The rollout really should not have been this messy. It really shouldn't have been. I don't even understand why this is even a fucking conversation. I really fucking don't. But as soon as I started to feel like the name and IP of the name was an issue, guess what my response was? Fall back. You got it. I'm not even going to fight you on it. And that was the reason for the fucking name change. In addition to the fact that I had been given a lot of advice of, Melissa, by the name, you're going to ignore your younger demographic of women that look up to you. And you're also excluding men who are a massive part of your audience. What are you going to do with that? And I really thought long and hard about that. I struggled with that. These are all things that were happening all at the same time, a perfect storm happening inside my mind, and me trying to figure out, how do I appease the lion's share of my audience and provide compelling, engrossing, enthralling, dope content for them? Because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. If there's any foodies in here, y'all know the kind of content that I put out. It was thoughtful. It was It was compelling. It was interesting. You never knew who my guest was going to be. And I didn't rely on celebrities for my guests. I found fascinating people on the fringes of fucking society, because that's who I find to be fascinating. Everyday, regular people doing extraordinary fucking things. And that is my intention with this podcast. But also, I'm walking through perimenopause. That's my lived experience. So that is what I want to highlight for the women that are going through the same thing that I'm going through. But also, there's more to our lifestyles than just our gynecological and fucking, cerebral or cognitive fucking issues. And that includes men in the conversation. So this is what was going through my head while all of this is happening, and starting to see, this might not be a good long-term working relationship. So why don't I exit stage left before the actual launch and rebrand with a brand new name before anything is really, really done? Now I'm dealing with a whole other podcast that's claiming I stole a name, and they are one of 6 podcasts. They weren't even the
Whoa,
first
whoa,
ones to
whoa,
start.
whoa.
Okay.
One mess at a time,
Shit.
lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
Shit.
Don't tell
let's
us all.
not speed through here.
Okay.
What do you have to say to the ghosting allegation? To the hey, she sent us some shit, we didn't like it, and she disappeared.
I answered that, and I just said I sent an email. And I mean, I have it as a screenshot, and I have the date and stuff like that.
Well,
So I
no,
mean,
no, 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 no,
okay,
no, no,
fine, fine,
no, no,
fine,
no, no.
fine, fine.
Don't. You're not gonna
I'm not.
corporate your way out of this.
But I'm not.
I'm talking about uh what people believe to be the personal aspect of business, right? Like when you try to start a business with friends
Hmm.
and things go awry, the audience expects like that girlfriend conversation to happen where you call and you have a
Well, hold
uh
on 1 second here. Didn't she just say we're not friends? We weren't
Period.
friends.
Come on.
She
Yeah.
definitely said that.
So if we
But
weren't
but Mel,
friends,
you
and
brought her on the pod though.
okay, well, hey, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. She said we weren't friends. I've brought Sabrina on the pod. I've brought Lilivette on the pod. Like those are my girls.
You did.
Um, S is somebody that I met very recently through a mutual friend. So I liked her. I was fond of her. But did we have the did we go through a tested phase? Well, this was it, and we failed epically. So yes, she's right. We're not friends. We never will be friends. That's the bottom line. And what I started to see through the contract negotiations is just an undermining of who I am and what I actually bring to the table.
that's what
So
happened to me. Oh.
I know, Joseph, I know. It's just like from the discussions and the sidebar conversations that got back to me, I was described as a lowly video girl. Like, who cares about her fame? This is
Wait,
what
describe that by
And
whom?
just to add,
Oh, look at you. Look, yep. Muting the stage, sprinkling some silence in there. Look at Dorian Feast ready. And who said where did we get that? Yep. All
no,
right.
I was gonna say she was
No,
so.
no, 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 no. I didn't unmute to hear what you was gonna say. I don't care what you was gonna say. It's over for that. A little messy ass audience. Anyway, Mel, back to you, girl. I've
okay.
unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so no, that was not me saying that anybody in the audience said that. That was the sidebar conversations that got back to me that S was saying about me.
Well, I muted the stage so you could gather that thought and say it in a more PR type of way, but I
Oh
guess
no,
fuck
fuck that.
it. Yo, you know what bothers me is that my audience, this audience, thinks that I'm the messiest nigga in the world, and I am a little bit,
And
but a
is.
little
A
bit.
little
But
bit.
y'all act like I have no like decorum sometimes.
Zero.
You do.
You do.
They don't
Sometimes.
know that
This nigga
part of me.
likes
I don't
tea.
know.
No,
I
I
don't
was gonna
know.
say the trademark thing. I'm with Mel on this. I'm with Mel 100%. But I was saying she was so strong on the trademarking, and then
Oh,
somebody
honey. Oh, la la
posted
la
in
la
the
la.
comments she
Wait.
trademarked it a week ago,
Girl, thank
like a
you.
week ago,
Thank you.
girl.
Oh, guess what? That trademark was free up until then. That trademark was free up until then. When I say that I stood back, I said, hey, You got it. If this is an IP issue and you really feel like you came up with the name, and you know what? I will give that to you. The back and forth. She's like, I've got receipts, I've got text messages. Hey, I'll put them out myself. I'll put them out myself and say, yes, when I went back and looked at the thread all the way from May, yes, the way it looked is that she came up with it's fucking messy waters, because guess what? There's two podcasts called the Menopod, and they were started in 2019 and 2020 something. So I'm like, okay, so how did you come up with the IP if there's two podcasts that already have the same name? I'm just wondering that. So that's number one. Number two, then there was the spelling of it. And then we had a conversation about the spelling, and then there was just interaction about that, and there was like, I said one thing, she said one thing, whatever. The waters were too muddy for me to give that much of a shit. You got it, girl. It's all yours. It's all yours. Have it. I am backing away because this is way too much for me. Okay, we don't know each other well enough to be going through this level of fucking strife. We haven't even put in any product out right now. We haven't put out any content right now. I have 4 episodes taped. I'm scrapping that shit. Your name, your likeness, your voice. I'm not using nothing of it. Go with God. Like, this is what I didn't feel like y'all needed to know this stuff, because
Amen.
this is not
We
really
didn't.
your business. This is not really your business. This was between me and them, and I was trying my best to keep it cute.
as it should be.
That's it. And then to find out that she ended up in spaces trying to air me out, and you're not but you don't want fame. Oh, that's looking a little social climbing to me. I'm sorry.
Yo,
I'm
those hoodies
sorry.
look. Those hoodies
Don't
that she
worry,
was
it didn't
dropping
give.
look a little shady too. Ain't gonna hold you.
What's that?
Remember, she was putting out some hoodies. Like you brought her on the pod, and then you were promoting her hoodies, and she was trying to make a
Let
few
me
dollars.
like, you end up on the biggest fucking podcast in whatever, Joe, what the fuck, the world, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, you end up there randomly because I invite you. And then as a result, the Joe Budden community comes to your page and starts to buy your merch. What
Mm-hmm.
the what the really? Really,
Damn, I'm
girl?
guilty too, man. Fuck.
Really? Just
I almost
really?
did it.
No, I did do it. What you mean?
You know
I,
what? For
I,
and
I
and
almost
here's the
clicked.
thing.
Yeah.
But here, no, here's the thing. Everybody that did purchase something, that is amazing. That just shows just how much of a community that Joe has created and has fostered, and how dope you all are. That's what that shows, is how willing that you are to support an extension of somebody that Joe brings on the fucking show, meaning me. Like, that to me is fucking dope. That is to be celebrated, and that is to be recognized. And it's just like the entitlement is what fucking makes my teeth itch.
Wait, but Mel, so you don't think that she kept it cute last night?
The fact she was on the spaces at all.
I
Joe.
know. Get
Joe,
your
shut the
haircut,
fuck
nigga.
up. Listen,
Get your
you,
fucking haircut.
Joe,
Joe,
you a
All
fool.
right,
But
all
you a
right,
fool.
all
like,
right.
yeah,
I mean, I
Hey,
yeah.
guess I knew the answer to that because I spoke to Mel last night for 45 minutes.
It's not time for manipulators. It's not time.
Wait, I
No.
didn't even start manipulating.
What's wild? I didn't know that. So before M4 came up here, we was kind of talking about just from a business perspective. If you're not excited about getting to a partnership with somebody, then why are you upset about not getting to a partnership with somebody? So no one should really be upset. And
That's
then
the main point.
to be
That's the
honest, like
main point.
niggas, so okay, if you're this mad, like yo, every business, every relationship, the happiest you're going to be in that relationship is at the very beginning.
Yes.
So if you're not happy at the beginning, like again, it's like a roller coaster, but again, that roller coaster never goes back up to the top where you started. So if you're not going to be excited at the beginning, then you really just shouldn't get started. Now,
Let,
again, that's if you not even kind of excited. There's actual animus here. So what are we doing?
let me break something down for y'all. Let me break something down for y'all. My page, my YouTube page, I'm here for the food. I still had over 20,000 subscribers. 20,000. And that is because of the That is because the community that I cultivated over there, and the trust that that I cultivated with that community to deliver compelling content and to be authentic and to be transparent and to be candid and to be myself, and they fucking knew it, and they held, and thank God they held on, waiting to see, is Mel ever going to start another podcast? That's why this is an insane conversation to me. I am not a novice at this. I did not just wake up and say I'm going to start a podcast. This is Melissa is now feeling healthy mentally enough to go back into foray into fucking a miking her way through a podcast because she already did this. It was a tried, tested, and proven concept. She already did. It was successful. I had an Instagram page that had just about 7,000 followers of I'm here for the food. I repurposed those pages to be the Menopod. So we weren't even starting from the ground up. We weren't starting from zero. We were starting from my sweat equity, my work, my reputation, my blood, sweat, and tears, the work that I had already done. We weren't starting from zero. We were starting from such a lofty position. And then me being on Joe's pod, and as supportive as Joe and the boys are to me, shouting it from the rooftops, support our girl, her new podcast with whoever she's doing it with. How, in what world is our contribution fucking equal? In what fucking world are we talking about even fucking splits? In what world? What world?
Well, what do you say to the people that say that those conversations should have been had before any promotion began of this podcast?
And you know what? I completely fucking agree with that. You know, I am a creative, and sometimes us creatives, we just start going off blind ambition. Okay. And that is just a trait. And it could be positive and it could be negative. And in this particular situation, it's fucking negative, obviously, because of the outcome. But my blind ambition, my blinders when I've got an idea and I firmly believe in it and I just charge full force with all my endurance and stamina and energy and hope and whatnot, like is it's all rooted in the best of my intentions. You know what I'm saying? So I absolutely agree with the fact that the business should have been taken care of before a single picture was shot or an episode was shot, but that's just not what happened. And my course correction was to basically rescind my participation from the Menopod. You guys go with grace, take the name, take everything. I relinquish everything. I want nothing to do with it. It's all yours, and I will not use anything that we have taped thus far. Your voices, your names, your likeness, your anything. And that was not enough. We could have done this silently, but it didn't that's not what happened.
And
You
I
know
would
the.
say
Oh my bad.
that
Sorry.
the fact that she did that last night proves that you made the right choice, Melissa.
Thank
It
you.
Absolutely.
absolutely proves you made the right choice
That's right.
because look at this retaliatory revenge,
Thank
like
you.
bitter energy trying to malign your character. Like, I'm so happy you're here to speak for yourself. I'm gonna shut up so you can
Thank you.
keep cooking.
Thank you.
Ain't that fire, Rick? Mel speaking for
I love
himself.
it. I
Thank
love
you.
Big
it.
fire.
And I also just want to say, because the fact that we did not handle the business prior to, I'm sitting with debt. I'm sitting with content that cannot be used because of what I've said. I'm not going to use your name and likeness, nor would I ever want to use it at this point. But so all of the studio sessions that I booked, the photographers, the glam, the whole production that I paid for, all of that is my loss to incur. I have to pay. Everybody's been paid. All of their invoices have been paid, but this is all stuff that's my loss. I now have to keep on going with my plan, to create the content that I have wanted to deliver to y'all. But I also have to deal with all of this 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 BS that is being thrown around about me, and it's hurtful because it is not the truth. It's just not the truth. That's not who I am. I am not dishonest. I am not distrustful. I am not a thief. I am not a liar. I'm not. I'm just not. And I handled this to the best of my ability, and I tried to handle this like a grown-up human, and with decorum and poise and composure. And she chose another route to take this public and be threatening and whatnot. Like how? What? What? How? I am wildly confused, but at the same time, no, I'm not, because the narrative about me not being a girl's girl, this oftentimes is the stuff that I encounter. But then they beat me to the punch of creating the narrative of, oh, Melissa did this, Melissa did that. Oh, woe is me.
The wild
It's
part is, oh, I'm sorry, go my bad.
no, no, no. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the wild part is, and I hope for the people who take all of Joe Budden universe content and clip it up for monetary gain are paying attention to this part. M4 said she's the one who put all the money up. Like, and the irony is you're being presented as this like bad person, but again, as somebody coming from corporate America who also does media now and create content creation, there are people out there that would say, hey, we came into this agreement, handshake, verbal, whatever. I got these emails. I put up this much capital. So actually, I'm not going to just relinquish everything. Actually, I'm going to need X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to start using this. Or I'm going to repurpose. I to get my money back. Like that's what,
That's a
you know,
fact.
Thank you.
ruthless quote unquote people do is, and I ain't gonna hold you. I might do that depending on how much I put up, because if I put up so much and I got
Mm-hmm.
content, I got IP out here, I could transcribe that, turn that into webinars, I could do all kinds of stuff. You expect me just to sit on that for nothing to give you back? I've actually built this up to something now. This is actually worth something now. And
Hmm.
so we're going to need to come into an agreement before. But the fact that you just said, well, nah, actually, is cool, which goes back to everything is people don't know business, whatever. And, I get it, Melissa. Like, I'm similar in that way, like sensitive, creative. You want to build with people, but insecurity, greed, all those things come up. But you talking about, again, y'all don't even make no money yet. It's all of it is just so much to do about nothing.
And what's insane is just the fact that they wanted to enter into a long-term not just a contract, a partnership, like creating an entity to where it was a three-way partnership. So you want to get, it's like being married at first sight. Like, here's the thing. I'm Melissa Ford. I'm the famous one. Oh, Melissa wants to be famous. Nah, bitch, I'm famous. Shut the fuck up.
Talk your shit,
No,
Melissa.
Period. Period.
hold on one
It's
second here.
true though.
Hold on one second here. Like, but I'm the one that absorbs all the risk, since you are anonymous, since people don't know you. You know what I'm saying? So if you decide in 3 months, oh, I don't like the way this is going. I want to go back to my own life. I don't like the comments that people are making about me. I want to go back to anonymity, and decide you don't want to do this no more. Now we have to absolve the partnership and go through all this fucking legal bullshit, and I absorb the risk of the failure. That's another thing that was not taken into account, is just how much I was trying to create a turnkey operation where y'all just come in, sit down, look pretty, and work on your craft, because you're not podcasters. You don't know what you're doing. Furthermore, I have to not just mic this situation. I have to teach you how to podcast. And do you know how much money I have spent on my own training? Do you know how much of my blood, sweat, and tears and sweat equity has gone into the development of my fucking experience? Do you know? And you're gonna get that for free? And this is still a three-way fucking split? I think the fuck not. These conversations became, I won't say acrimonious, they just became stagnant. They were not budging. And I was like, okay, so then there's nothing left to talk about. Like, what the fuck? Like, there's nothing left to talk about. There's nothing left to talk about. So I sent
And
the
so
email basically saying, mhm.
did all this come to a head the day before the launch was supposed to happen? Or was this all happening previously and then you kind of tried to let it rock until the very last minute?
This was happening, like it was really coming to a head like the week before, because that's when I started to hear a little bit more about I'm going to use a legal term, ex parte communication that was
Mm-hmm.
happening on the
Hmm.
side.
Mm-hmm.
And if I revealed to you who she was talking to, y'all would fucking gag. But I digress. Um,
Melissa, you should spill it.
I muted the stage um, because no one needs to gag. Mel is such a girl. Like, all right, I'm mute.
Not you silencing women. Oh my
Oh,
God.
brother. Wait, look at Amani texting me. Go ahead, Mel.
Now you messy bitch.
Who?
Why we gotta know Amani texting you?
Exactly.
But I just want to say that I just think the whole thing was messy, even in her retelling of the story. I think leaving out the fact that you sent the email was a very big piece. I think her leaving out the fact that, well, she didn't leave it out because when she was asked about the production and who's paying, she said she didn't know, which clearly tells Mel is fronting the
Hilarious.
fucking money because she didn't even know when she was asked last night.
Hey,
So clearly you don't even know who's fucking paying for what. You don't need to talk about 50-50 nothing if you don't know who the fuck is even paying for shit. But I think her leaving out that you rescinded and sent the email was a very big part of what would have been needed in the conversation last night, because I think that's the only thing that made people like feel her like, oh well, damn, she ghosted you. She couldn't even tell you like she's not doing it. She's not moving forward. Which to me, I just feel like if you negotiated and again, Mel, just to say you never responded and then you changed the name, you changed this, you changed that. That's a response. That means keep your shit and I'm
Right.
gonna do my own shit.
But Feats, we were never supposed to. There was not supposed to be a conversation last night. We were never supposed to know
Well,
any of
that's
this.
what I'm saying.
None of this is our fucking business.
Regardless of S, she didn't mention Mel sent the email. But
Yeah,
even if Mel
yes,
didn't
because
send an
yes,
email,
yes.
that's a response, baby.
Yeah, and because it doesn't fit the narrative that she was trying to push
Yeah,
last
that she's
night. That
victim.
no,
Yeah.
she
Exactly.
wants no. The narrative is I ghosted them, and that is not the fucking truth. Furthermore, I was just like, okay, I feel like all my words are falling on deaf fucking ears when I'm talking to her. She's just not processing anything I'm saying because there's resistance there, and I wasn't sure where the resistance was coming from. And that is why I go
Mm.
back to the ex parte communications that were fucking going on behind my fucking back. But I had my producer who has been in the fucking space for 15 years. He worked on the Combat Jack show. So if y'all know about the Combat Jack, that is the beginning of urban fucking podcasting. And I was like, please get on the phone with them and talk to them about the podcast business, the industry, so that we can try to manage expectations right now, because I think the expectations are a little too lofty and there's a little bit too much entitlement creeping in. They are not tried, tested, proven talent at all. They're at all. I carried the conversations in the fucking episodes that we shot. Carried them 95% of the way. That's just the bottom fucking line. And so after he spoke to them, he was like, yeah, and I was like, say less. I got it. I got the message. This is just now become stagnant. It's not moving. And I'm not going to beat my head. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm not. I want to do this podcast. I am ready. Okay? I've gotten over my grief and my and all the stuff that was standing in my way from wanting to do this again or pick back up the mantle. I don't need anybody's bad intentions or nefarious fucking intentions to fucking stop my momentum. Cool, we couldn't agree. You got the name. Go. Shit, I gave you a shit ton of ideas. You have a lot of your own
Hmm.
ideas. Go that way. Go. But what was this for? What was this for? This
Mhm.
was some butthurt bullshit.
Yeah, you know what it was for.
I
Like,
do.
yeah, you know what it was for. But you came on stage and you raised a really good question. You said about the girl. You said, now what? how does one respond to these allegations and that on your character about not being a girl's girl? Like, how do you prove that after people do what they did, like last night? You know, clearly
Mhm.
feeding into a narrative.
Mhm.
And I think that you're going to do that through the work of your pod, right? Like you said that, you know, do you need to bring up a whole bunch of people? Do you need to prove it and all this stuff? And I think that the way that you came across on your Instagram live, the way that you know, you're talking about the certain topics that are appealing to these women and appealing to the things that you're going through, and even the way that like the possible guests that you will bring on and all that stuff, I think that is going to speak more than anything that you could ever try to prove whenever people go on these rampages to try and feed into that negative thing that they're doing. Like, I think that Homegirl knew what she was doing yesterday with feeding into a narrative, bringing up things like, oh, she stole and thief and all this stuff, especially when you got other people bringing up other accusations. Like, she knew what she was doing to try and poke a middle finger in your sore spot. And I think that the best way to prove and shut all that shit down is through being who you are, the work
But
that you're about to
but
do. And I
but
think
let me but you're and I agree with you, but that is what I've always done. You know, like
Yup.
it listen, this is this version of Melissa that y'all are seeing right now, this spicier, you know, clapback
Oh, and we
version.
love it. We
Oh,
love it, by the way.
thank you
Nah,
guys.
facts.
Thank you. You know, this version of Melissa this version of Melissa is she's always been there. Always. I've always wanted to come back whenever somebody, you know, tries to malign my character and defame me and say fucked up shit about me. I've always wanted to, but I have always thought to myself, no, poise, composure. I am an elegant woman. I am a grown woman. I am a queen. I do not come down off of my throne to address the opinions of fucking sheep.
Talk
I
about
will
it.
not address the fucking stupid shit that people say about me. And I'm talking about the duration of my 25 years in this business. You do not
Hmm.
see me involved in mess. When people talk shit about me, my mouth stays closed. I don't, because I'm not going back and forth with y'all motherfuckers. That is not who I am and
Hmm.
that's not what I do. However, now that I've been around the boys and I got a lot more masculine energy and I'm embracing that masculine energy, and
Yeah.
also, oh yeah, I'm fucking tired of people thinking that you can fucking treat me like a goddamn doormat and I'm not gonna fucking do anything. I have had it. I fucking had it. I have run the fuck out of fucks to give. So you want to fucking, you know, create a narrative that's negative, that's easy to stick to me because why? Why is it so easy to believe that about me? What have I ever shown that that is who I am? Nothing. But if you look at the women that keep pointing their finger, there is motive there. There's fucking intention there. I love when motherfuckers come out with revisionist history of an event that happened many, many years ago. And oh, suddenly you remember it differently. Really? Okay. Okay. Got it. I hate that whole there's your truth, my truth, and then the truth. Fuck out of here. There's the truth. There's the truth. And you're
Exactly.
fucking lying. And you're lying.
We love this. I think that everything you said was extremely spot on, especially with the way that you portrayed yourself over the duration of your career. Um, and a lot of things just don't align with what that is. But you coming on here and being able to speak your mind, speak directly, you have receipts. You don't need to post them because you don't need to, but you could if you wanted to. You
Mhm,
could. So
mhm.
that already shuts down certain things because people will just kind of come out and say whatever and think that you're not going to defend yourself. Well, you did, and you have the receipts to back it up if need be.
And
So I think
Melissa,
that
I'm
that
gonna tell
already
you
kind of
this.
speaks
I'm gonna tell you this. Your
to what's
actions
going
speak
on here
louder
and
than
helps
words.
with
Absolutely,
what you're doing.
because every time you've had an opportunity to step on another woman, you never took it. You had ample opportunity to cuss multiple women out on that stage, multiple people out, and you stayed, like in the words of Beyonce. stay gracious, best revenge is your paper. You've embodied that, and I appreciate that. But sometimes you got to get low with folks, and I'm glad that you're entering this era. I feel like that's going to serve you well as you move forward in your podcast. I feel like I'm sorry you're going through this, and I'm going to say this. When it comes to leverage, people really need to, because I do a lot of negotiations for my job,
Mhm.
and you'll be really surprised how much ego enters the chat when these
Oh no,
types of
I wouldn't.
conversations
Oh no,
come around.
no, no, no. I would not be surprised because, honey, I just witnessed it over the last like fucking couple of weeks or a month or whatever. Yeah, no, ego played a massive role. And let me tell you all something. Men have nothing on our egos. Nothing. Women. And that's why we had that talk about competition, and that was my point about talking about women in competition. How it's such a how it's such a masculine characteristic that women can't admit that, that is something that we participate in, and so we compete on all levels. It's like no holds fucking barred, and our egos sometimes are our biggest detriment, and that is what happened here. Egos. Well, I've got the master's in nutrition science. I'm like, well, your page don't say
Yeah,
that.
good morning.
Nah.
Good morning.
Nobody
Good
give a
morning.
damn
Hold
about
on. Hold
that
on.
master's
Hold on.
in
Good
nutrition
morning.
Good
science at
morning.
all.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning,
Good morning.
What's
Good
up,
Imani.
E?
morning. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning.
E.
Hi, Mel. Have you eaten breakfast this morning?
What's up,
I
E?
have not. I have just been
Okay.
I've eaten souls. That's what
Okay.
the fuck
Oh
I
Lord,
ate.
here comes Mims. Here comes Mims.
May I
What's
cook
up,
it?
E?
May I cook, Imani?
Mel.
That
Here
was a
come
little
this
Yes.
nigga,
patronizing,
right?
Imani, but
Ruining
I'm
the
gonna let you get
fun.
it off.
She got a little growl in
Yo,
her
but the
voice.
worst part about all of it is she was
Yeah.
asking, she was saying that you want to be famous. It's like, Mel, you've been on my
Blake.
wall
Blake. Blake.
before,
Blake. Blake.
bro.
Blake. Blake. Hold on. 1 second.
That's crazy.
1 second. I was asking Mel a question.
Oh, Mel can't have her Ayo
I
Joe
was asking.
moment.
No, she can, but I was just asking Mel a question. Mel, are
Mhm.
you good? Did you eat this morning? Are you okay?
I have been up since 5 a.m.
Okay. Well,
and I
I
went to bed at 1. So no.
okay.
Uh
I think
oh.
maybe let's just take
I
a
also
little
hope
second.
for people who are in the
Nigga!
creative space.
Wait a minute.
Boo.
Wait.
Yo, I muted the stage. I want an apology for the people that say that I've been fueling this at some point later, but I'm not gonna center myself right now. We're gonna let Amani get his shit off. Amani, she already answered you, nigga. She did not eat. She didn't sleep. You ain't got to repeat the question.
No, let Mel get her shit off. Let her speak her piece.
Imani's scared because Mel got a little growl in her voice, and so he want to stop the party. Man, Jesus Christ.
She's speaking with that vigor.
E,
Ugh.
what were you saying?
I don't want to stop the party, guy. I want you guys to go ahead and enjoy, but I do want to preface this, and y'all can hate me, and I don't give a fuck. Y'all just hate me for saying it. Mel, it's over. Let's stop.
E, did you see all the shit?
I think somebody muted E by mistake.
Okay. Somebody
That was you, Joe.
Joe.
That
Oh,
was you.
oh, my bad. Go ahead.
E, E,
Mel, I know.
E,
Listen, I
E.
know. Mel,
Did you see the whole fucking thing?
Mel.
Yes.
No, I don't need to.
No, yes you
No, I
do.
don't.
Yes you
No,
No,
do.
I
yes, you do.
don't. No,
Yes
I
you
don't.
do.
No, yes, you
Yes you
do.
do.
Mel, as
Yes.
someone who gives a fuck about you and everyone
Yes.
else involved with us directly, I'm speaking from the person who cares. And everyone else, while it
Amani,
might
you
be,
done came in spaces and cursed 90 million niggas out.
and I learned my lesson from it too. So,
Well, why don't we just pivot? Can we
Let's
just
get to
yes.
those
pivot?
dusty
Can we
white
pivot really
people.
quick?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, let's get to
No, no,
that
no.
Let's
white.
get to those that.
let's
Let's
go
get to
there.
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. Let's pivot.
Yeah,
Let's
Let's
get
get
to
to
pivot.
that
them.
Let's
Get to
pivot.
bitch.
them.
Get
Let's
that.
pivot to something
Yeah, get to
fun.
them. All the other stuff is too personal. Let
Uh,
that be.
She
Let's get on the
started
white.
it.
I know, but I
E,
know,
we can
Mel, but
she
I know.
started.
But
Mel,
stop.
Mm,
Mel,
yes.
the name.
Yes.
First of all, I just want to
Hmm.
say, with all due respect to the other people
Hmm.
involved, I am here for
Thank
you.
you.
And I want to understand the thought process in, like, anybody who's ever started a pod, you're going to change your name a couple of times, especially if it's going from ensemble to single
Hmm.
caster. So with us coming here for you, why are you not just leaning on that a little bit?
especially with the moniker.
I think that Joe was right when, he said, like that I just had, I don't know, I just had hesitancy. I mean, I felt like the name, the Melissa Ford show did not indicate what the content would be. Sometimes I do like a little novelty, and sometimes I like some tongue in cheek action. You know what I mean? Like, and so when I titled my last podcast, "I'm Here for the Food," that was like a funny take on, women dating men for food. Like, one of the catchphrases that I made a T-shirt was, "If I haven't kissed you by the third date, I'm only here for the food." Like, it was like a funny ha ha and a lean towards, jokes that women make and whatever else. But my tagline was, "Welcome to I'm Here for the Food, where we discuss topics that feed your mind, your spirit, and your soul." And I felt like when I was searching for name title, I was just, um, I don't know, I was just searching for something that just kind of spoke to me. You know what I mean? Like the Melissa Ford show. I don't know. Joe, I do not mean this in any way, shape, or form as a slight to you, but
None
I,
taken.
okay, good. It's just I felt like you got to be so ballsy and fucking and arrogant to like name a show. It's the Melissa Ford show. You know what I'm saying?
Is
I just didn't think I was ready for that.
I'm muting the stage. Mel, I don't know if you've heard yourself in the last 15 minutes or so, but you've been ballsy and arrogant. I'm unmuting.
Shut up.
I know.
Okay, so wait, I thought I heard somebody say in here, before I jumped in, that hey, Melissa might call it the Melissa Ford show a year from now or whatever the case was. And that honestly
Yeah, that
is
was me.
my it's my okay, thank you. It is my intention to do that, but I wanted to do the work. I wanted to prove myself all over again. Here's the thing, what really fucking irritates me also about this whole situation involving whoever. When I first started on the JBP, me I told Joe, and he'll tell you this. I did not accept payment for the first month that I was there. And the reason being, I was like, "Joe, this is a social experiment. We don't know if this is going to fucking work. I don't know if you're going to be like, "Oh, you fucking suck. You don't work with my audience. Go back home to LA," or whatever the case was. And this for me was an opportunity to like kind of like rise to a challenge that was foreign to me. And also I'm coming off the heels of like a very, very, very intense healing journey. So I was really just jumping back into the water in the fucking deep end.
It
You know what
was
I'm
the
saying?
first couple months too. I
It
was
was the first.
happy as that. I mean, I was like, good idea.
Right. So it's true,
Um,
but it's true. The first 2 months that I was on the pod, I didn't ask for pay. It was not it was not a conversation because I wanted to prove to myself and to Joe and to the audience that I deserved to be there. You know what I'm saying? A 25-year vet, who does that? But that's just what this industry is about. There's some times where you have to prove yourself all over again. And for me, not having been run my own podcast and a mic'd for several years, I was like, I have to reintroduce myself to people who are used to just seeing me as co-host or used to seeing really not even knowing very much about me. There's people who are very familiar and there's people who aren't. And so I was like, let me just do the gimmicky, cute name that people are like, "Oh, the content, the name, I get it. Oh, that's clever." And then once tried, tested, and proven, then it's the Melissa Ford show. And
But
I'm
you
so.
know
My
and
what?
question
But
is
my
though.
last thing on that, hold up, Dory. My last thing on that is
and then
you
we
could
got to
have
get to the
named
white
it.
people.
You could, yeah, definitely. You could have named it anything in the world, and your audience was still gonna call it the Melissa Ford podcast. Like, I loved the name of my first podcast. I'll name this podcast later. I thought it was the
Me
greatest
too.
name
Me too.
ever.
So
But
clever.
then everybody was just like, "Yeah, that Joe Budden podcast." It's like, okay, so we'll go with that.
But
Like,
but that's what I but that's but look at that, is your audience designated that before you did. And that is what I want the audience to do. I want them to be like, "Yeah, it's the Melissa Ford show." I forget the name of the.
Girl, we already
Thank you,
doing
thank
it.
you,
We already
thank
doing
you,
it,
thank you,
mama.
But
We
I
and I
will
doing
appreciate that.
I
Hmm.
will say that before this space and where you were able to kind of express yourself, I was a little confused onto as to what the content of your podcast would be. And I know that you just explained that with your previous podcast, the I'm here for the food, and even with that genius tagline where you said you're feeding minds and all those things. I'm curious to know, like, do you have one for this hot and bothered, like where you can kind of have a succinct description to kind of let people know what they're tuning into? Because previously, like you said, with the menopod, I thought it was a little bit alienating. I was going to tune in because I knew it was going to be fire, but I didn't really know if it was going to be about menopausal topics or like what specifically like we were going to dive deep into. But I'm
Hmm.
kind of wondering, and I know that you had to explain it earlier in a great way, but I was just wondering, like, do you have like a tagline or a succinct description now with the hot
Hmm.
father?
We're That's what I'm doing right now while I'm in Atlanta with the team. I'm shooting some episodes, but we're also like getting together all of the copy. We are rewriting everything because you're right. The menopod, even though I was like, I'm passionate about it because it's my current lived experience, and so
Right.
I want to speak to those women, but I really, really felt very
Cornered.
concerned, cornered, but
Mhm.
concerned about alienating a part of my, fan base and audience that has been with me forever, and that's the men. And also, I enjoy talking to the younger demographic of women because I wish that a me existed when I was their age to come and tell them what to do and what to expect, what's coming down the pipeline, and to help them make decisions about their lives or give advice or or whatever the case is. So I felt really funny about alienating those two core pieces of my fan base. So to me, this was just logical. Like, okay, this situation is really getting gnarly, not working out, no problem, all yours. I'm pivoting like fuck over here. And this makes me feel so, so light because this feels like I'm what I'm supposed to do. This
Exactly.
feels organic. This feels like what I am supposed to do. And I feel it in my heart and my soul. And so when I want to write all the copy from that perspective. This is coming from my heart and my soul. This is the tagline. This is the log line. This is the one sheet to solicit guests. This is the deck. This is the mission statement.
Exactly.
This is the
Yes.
mantra. This
This is
is
what I
what
was
people
looking for
Yes,
sure.
this is what people are going to, they're like, okay, I'm watching this show because this aligns with what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm not I'm my podcast is not to talk about pop culture because I do that on Joe's pod and there is a million pop culture podcasts. That is not what I want to do. I want to deliver compelling content that is really evergreen, that can sit and just and marinate and still be relevant a year from now. You know what I'm saying? Because I want this to go the distance, and so I have so many ideas as to the kinds of guests that I want to interview and the content that I want to deliver to you guys, so all of that is literally in like the planning stages. So this is part of the rollout. And unfortunately, because of all this other stuff, the rollout looks a little chaotic. But from my standpoint with my team, nah, it's right on track.
Yo, Mel, I
Woo.
got a question for you. As someone
Mhm.
who's had a design taken from them or interpreted uh, by a bigger brand, to have like your name, someone else maybe have that name previously. I know it's not the exact same name, but do you feel a way for them? Like, do you feel bad at all that maybe they feel upset? Like, does part of you be like, man, like, does
Oh,
anybody
this
Mm.
trap.
really care or
This
no?
is trap.
Look, there is six other podcasts with the same name. Like, I don't understand why these fucks think they invented the wheel. They did not. They took a fucking phrase that was coined in 1920 to talk about what? Women going through menopause. What the fuck are we talking about here? And these are two 20 somethings in LA talking about their dating lives. Go ahead. I don't care. We are not going to be delivering the same content so we can have the same similar name, but it's different because it's with Melissa Ford. That is the difference. That's the significant difference to where our audiences will not overlap. Trust me when I say my audience does not give a fuck about what you're talking about, and your audience probably doesn't really give a shit about me. And that is fine. Can we all just be and play well in the fucking sandbox together? Look, let me give you an example. And I do not want to, I'm not dragging my friend into this, but it's just such a perfect example. My girl Roxy started a podcast called More to the Story. And if you haven't watched it, you should, because fucking Roxy is fucking amazing at what she does. That girl is talented as hell. And she's going to be a guest on my podcast, and I'm going to be a guest on hers. Her show is called More to the Story. Google how many shows are called More to the Story. There's like 11. And I know she's not dealing with the harassment that I'm dealing with and the accusations of thievery and stealing and whatever else. Like, what the fuck? And
I think
that's another reason why Homegirl did what she did, because she could lean into that narrative because she saw what was happening on my fucking page with this other podcast calling me a thief and blah 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 and stealing. I'm stealing. You even stole the concept. How can I steal the concept for your show? I'm not 20 something and I'm not white. What the fuck? And I'm not going to be
Who?
talking about you dating in LA. What?
Wait. All right.
Mhm, go ahead.
I think having the same name is not the same as stealing a name, and people are kind of playing into that, oh, she's a thief or she's not a girl's girl aspect of it by kind of even alluding to that. Having, like you said, there's distinct differences, distinct things, and it's okay to play in the same sandbox. But being saying that you're stealing something versus sharing the same fucking name is completely different. Hang
There,
it up.
listen, listen,
We
listen.
got to
They,
come up with another
they
word for stealing. By the way, we got to figure that out.
No, you know what? They need to understand what legal terms are. There is no theft here whatsoever. And by the way, if why the fuck didn't you guys get the TikTok? Why didn't you get the Twitter? Y'all left a whole lot of shit on the fucking table. Have you guys branded this in any way? Have you created any fucking merch? Don't even get me started on like the legal shit that I've already done the homework on, and it is available. Like, what are we talking about right now? What they're doing, they're acting like parasites looking for a fucking host, and that is me, and they're suckling from my fucking skin right now, which is my audience.
Uh-uh.
They're getting all this attention because Reddit already posted this fucking chick's videos and shit like that. Oh shit, look at the tea. This ain't tea. This ain't tea. Stop feeding this shit, people. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
I'm late to this part. So white people are accusing
Yeah,
Melissa
they
Ford.
made a whole Instagram.
White people
Yeah.
cannot accuse black people of being creatively.
That part.
They
That
can't do
part.
that. That's not
That
possible.
part. But they do. They do.
They
They
steal
they
everything.
they
So
do. They do. MAGA, they do. So
Mark
yeah.
Lamont Hill in the audience, bring him up. He'll talk about it, Joe. Let him up here, man.
Whoever's in the audience is enjoying the listening experience.
Hey
Thank you.
Mark.
What up,
Yes.
Mark?
Big Mark.
Mm.
Joe, this adjusted space title.
Hilarious.
You get on my
Yo,
nerves.
I'm so conflicted. I feel good that the mess is not mine. I'm jealous that the mess is not mine.
So
Still,
annoying.
I'm
I know,
happy
and
for
I'm for you.
Melissa.
I
you still
know.
messy
Nah,
as
it
fuck.
technically you started it because you were the one who
Did
put it
Going
on the
crazy.
pod
You
first.
tight on that.
as a
Technically,
publicist, this is my Super Bowl. Like, I love discussing rollouts
Right?
and marketing and all this stuff. Like, it really does excite me, and it gives a lot of like learning opportunities. But
Mm.
I really do appreciate, like, there's some, I want to like break down this whole, like, Melissa's response, because the way that you address certain things, the way that you're coming across as assertive, but also like genuine, this is exactly what we needed, girl.
But mom,
And
listen. Oh, go keep going.
the last part is that I really, really was looking for a description of this podcast. I asked this like 2 days ago whenever you went live and stuff, and everyone was like, "Shut up, Dory." But honestly, I think that you gave like a good one, and I can't wait for all of those things to get ironed out so that you can kind of promote that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys giving me the grace and the space to try to keep everything on track. Like my team is working like when I say night and day, we are working night and day. And you know, all that my team did not want to address any of this. They didn't want to address the spaces last night. They didn't want to address these crazy white people.
I'm
They didn't
already
want
knowing. I'm
they
already knowing.
didn't it's good for like they were like, Mel, these are ants. You know what I'm saying? Like you're Moby fucking Dick. like don't address this shit. And I said, nah, nah, nah.
Well, Mel,
This
can you clear up for the people what you mean when you say your team? Because they think me and Ian are behind you, making you be messy.
Oh,
Mm.
no, no. Joe and Ian are like they're my consigliaries. You know what I'm saying? Like
That
I
did
built.
not help.
Them niggas
Uh,
can't spell that, Mel.
that,
Yeah, we don't know
that
that word.
did
I know it.
You've
that
seen The
didn't help.
Godfather, Joe.
Hey,
Don't
Break it
I
down,
Amani.
don't
Nicole.
know. There was a
Make it
lot of
plain.
letters involved,
I
babe.
told you,
A
nigga. I
lot of
told you.
letters.
I told you.
Amani,
I
that didn't
listen.
help the case at
No,
all.
no,
Amani,
no.
don't
I
come
told you.
now. You was supposed to come a second ago when Mel was clenching her jaws
No,
and
Levita,
talking about
Levita,
this shit,
Levita,
and you stood there quiet as
Levita.
fuck.
I said what I said. I'm gonna let y'all niggas have the fun. I've said what I've said behind scenes, and I'm not gonna say it up here. Y'all have your fun.
okay. Well, um, fuck. What was the question?
I was just
Oh. How do I address? Okay, the team.
Is Joe on the
Joe.
team?
Okay, no, Joe and Ian. They are just like my rock and touchstone. Like if I have any questions about any, I know you guys. Just give me 1 second. Let me just get this out. When I have questions, they're just such a wealth of information that they make available. They make themselves available to me. And there's some things that like. Joe's naturally fucking combat. He's an agent of chaos. This is not my realm. So when shit like this is going on and I don't naturally operate in this energy and space, I need to confer with somebody who does operate in this space and has navigated this fucking energy for a very, very, very long time. Now, Ian is if they're the angel and the devil.
yo. Did
You
you
know what I'm
hear
saying?
my question?
Yes, I know. Listen, I'm getting to that. I'm explaining the role you guys play, but that it's not necessarily part of the team. I have a digital marketing team. They are based in Atlanta and they are incredible. And then I also have a producer who is like a bigwig over at iHeart. That's part of my team. I also have like, PR as well, just having just been brought on. Jesus, they don't know what they signed up for because
Yup.
I hope they're real good at crisis management. Well, I think I'm doing that right now. But so the team is like basically being constructed as we go along, and then it's just all of the resources that I've just have available to me just because of my cachet and relationships in this business. So blogs reaching out to me or podcasts reaching out to me, that's just the cachet that I've built with people over the course of years and decades in this business, and that's just how it's going down.
All right, that's my last question for you.
Missy.
Melissa, will this team be a part of your ethos in terms of presenting them to your audience, or will they just remain in the background while you work things out?
um and also I need to mention my attorney because uh, uh, he's busy right now. Because that video is not okay. That is a very one-sided presentation of misrepresented facts, and that is a fucking problem as far as I'm concerned. It's a very, very serious legal fucking issue. So there's that. As for the team, no, they're background, and that's where they want to be. Like that's the role that they play. They're just like I'm forward facing, and they're just we're just getting everything together in terms of making sure that we have a tightly run ship, and that everything that a consumer of the podcast would want and need will be available to them, whether that is a newsletter, whether that is merchandise, whether that is additional content or content delivered on time. That's the role that the team is playing. And my role is to produce it and to be talent. That's my role, and to be the creative. That's my role. So everybody, I'm trying not to wear as many hats as I've worn in the past because I'm too old for that shit. I'm too old for that shit. I'm too seasoned for that shit. It's time for other people to pick up, the slack that I used to have to pick up for myself when
As
I
you
was
shouldn't. And I
so
said this
starting out.
earlier when talking about the rollout, because again, this is like my Super Bowl. I was like, Melissa is not a marketer. Like
Mhm.
has and should have people who are doing that thing. She should just be focusing on the content and making it fire as she has previously, because she's already proven that she can do this and does it well. The whole marketing stuff is all a team thing. And then that's when people will be like, "Well, what is Joe and Ian doing?" And I'm like, "Why do y'all think them niggas is magicians and a part of her team?" Like they
Yeah.
Yeah, we are not the concierge. I mean, consigli, whatever.
Almost.
Yeah, there's been speculation, of course, with your association, of which makes sense. Like people have questions, but the question was like, "Are you a part of the JBN?" And then people were like, "Oh, well, what is Ian gonna do?" And I know that on your live, you had even said like when booking people, you're like, "Oh, I should ask Ian." And I just was like, that could also, lead people to believe that they're a part of your team. But when you just outlined what your team does and what they're supposed to do, and that's that on that. Like as far as
Yeah.
this rollout and the promotion and all that stuff, you're not a marketer. You're Melissa Ford.
Right,
Like,
and I didn't go to. I'm not. You're right. I'm not a marketer. That shit makes me itch. Like, no, I can't. That's not my job. I need somebody who knows how to market. That you're hired for that. You know what I'm saying? And also going back to the name, we talked. Like, obviously, I love and would love to be on JBN. It's a conversation for the near future, but not right now. Let me roll out. Let me show, prove the concept, and then we have discussions. And that is fine with me, Joe, and Ian. But I always felt like the Menopod was like an absolute fucking no for the JBN. Like what the fuck? Like the Menopod on Joe Budden Network? How does that work? But Hot and Bothered with Melissa Ford, that makes a little bit more sense. That makes a lot more sense. And then in the future, the Melissa Ford show on JBN, that makes sense. That was also something that I was like cognizant of the entire time when I was thinking about, putting out a podcast, so then that just, I wanted to do that callback, put back to the name and how much and how conflicted I was with it the entire time that this was happening. Hello?
nope,
Yep.
I'm here.
We're
Okay.
still
Okay.
here.
I didn't know if we all got muted by Joe again.
No, 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 no. I'm not muting.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's it. That's basically it. That's basically it.
I love this. Oh my gosh. This is like, ooh, I could write a master class on this. This is
I
You
got
so
one
could.
last question before I slide up out of here.
Okay.
Melissa, as you continue in your career, what has this taught you about like the entitlement of create other maybe entry level creators, as well as
To leave
how do
them
you?
alone.
Okay, cool. That's I'll take that answer. And then
Yeah.
the second part of the question is, um, how do you not internalize like some of the entitlement of the fans, right? Of like obviously we're always trying, like not we, but yeah, the collective we always want as much information and tea and mess as possible. You got some cats in the audience right now who are going to clip this up later, that's going
Hmm.
to get views. How do
Hmm.
you balance the reality of those expectations and entitlement, and not like and take it as positive and not necessarily internalizing and get bitter or upset about it or annoyed by it?
Um, I just I just kind of fall back. Like I'm sure you guys noticed like that there was a point in time maybe like last year that I was way more active on Twitter than I have been. I picked it up within the last maybe week or two, but I went like a few months without tweeting or just kind of really being active and responsive and that sort of thing on Twitter. Same with Instagram. I will post and move. And I don't go into the comments. I don't really do a whole lot of engagement and response because like at certain times I determine I don't have the bandwidth for it. I just kind of got to live my own life and keep moving. And just social media really plays an extraordinarily small role in my life at the times that I don't have the bandwidth to deal with, like the fact that people do feel entitled to knowing things about me. This is painful for me. This whole thing is very painful for me to be having this kind of discussion because it is so far from the way that I have ever conducted myself and the way that I think. This is not my norm to have to answer questions about, a narrative that has been, constructed about me. I don't like this. This is very uncomfortable. But it had to be done. And, moving forward, if anybody ever does shit like this to me where they create a narrative that is false about me, I'm going to address it. I'm never ever just going to be like, all right, I'm just going to stay quiet and
Good for
and
you.
hope that it goes away. Nah, those fucking days are over.
We love this. Did
That's
you
amazing. I
consult
appreciate
your
that.
Melissa?
Thanks,
Did
Zach.
you consult your publicist before hopping on this space?
No, they're freaking out right now.
I knew it.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
they're they're in here and they're just
Sometimes you got to go a little AWOL, you know.
yeah, that is exactly it. I was like, they were like,
but only a little.
just a little. They were like, ooh, ooh, dial it back, dial it back. I'm like, no, fuck that.
But I will say, because at some points I was also like, I was about to come off mute and I was like, this is not my job. However, I will say that you, in terms of like messaging and stuff, I think that you got across the things that needed to get across, and you did it in a way that it was supposed to. So, as they are freaking out, I'm sure that there's lemonade to be made from this. So,
Well, the reality of the situation is that I'm telling the truth. Like when you're telling the truth, you don't have to think about it. That's a fucking fact. When you're telling the truth, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to construct a narrative and you don't have to fucking convince people because you know what? If people want to stay committed to misunderstanding you, then they're going to do that. And you will never change those people's minds. And it's not my job to change people's minds. My job right now, what I owed myself, was to tell the truth, not my version of the truth, the fucking truth. You will not malign my character. You will not try to assassinate my fucking character and my reputation. Who are you? How fucking dare you? You know what I'm saying? That shit pisses me off. But that is why this was not. I'm not thinking about what I'm saying right now. Mouth blurt. That's what's happening right now. I am furious,
Mel,
and the truth
stop.
is
Uh,
the
uh,
truth is coming out.
all right. All right. I'm going to mute. I'm going to mute everyone. Mel, we can tell how you feel by how you enunciate your furthermore. Like your furthermore is like, and furthermore is like, okay, girl. Um, I have one last question and I'm ending this space. And then I'm going to listen anonymously in a space that one of you guys start to recap this space. My question, Mel, is what do you do if people continue to try to put smut on your name or ruin your reputation? Like, is it something that you will continue to reply to, or at some point do you just I said my piece and this is what it is?
Oh no, this is very much I said my piece. I don't have the time or the energy or the desire or the care to continue fighting with ugh,
Yeah,
no.
there we go. And my last question is, are you happier or sadder that all this is happening while Flip is gone?
Oh my
My
god.
God.
I am so fucking happy. I'm so happy this is happening while he is
You
fucking
We're
you
gone.
do
happy
know
for
you're
you.
gonna have to relive this trauma when he gets back.
I oh my god. Yeah, I just have a lot of Merlot
I
in
might
the
call out when Flip come back. I told y'all that.
oh no you don't.
Yeah, I
Oh
might
no
call
you
out when
don't.
Flip
You
come
are
back.
Yeah, his energy is going to be on 100,
oh
y'all.
Girl,
god.
listen,
No.
I
Just
miss
have
him.
a lot of wine at the pod, please.
I will. I will
You
do
know what,
that.
Mel? Have fun with it. We love you and we support
Th-
you. And I hope you're having a good time with this. I hope it's not painful. I hope you are having so much fun because, like Buddy said before, this is the beginning and this is also supposed to be the best
Yeah.
time. So don't let this be the story of it. This is just par for the course when you're making a podcast.
I mean,
This
I
shit
I mean,
happens,
I do
bro.
have to say that the last when I started I'm here for the food, it was not this crazy, it was
But you were by
No, I
yourself.
wasn't. I had two other co-hosts. Yeah,
Oh,
and but I mean, like they played their position until they
exactly.
didn't.
I still can't believe this girl was trying to say that you're trying to be famous. That part
Hey,
just
hey, Joe,
mind
can we
boggles,
end this live?
All right, ladies
All right.
and
Let's
gentlemen,
not go back. This has been a
this has been so much fun. Make some
Thank you,
noise for
Joe.
Absolutely.
M4 Hootie
thank you,
Hoo.
Joe.
Hootie Hoo,
What a song.
Hootie
Hootie
Hoo.
hoo. Hootie
Potter of the
hoo.
month.
What?
She may
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
younger.
she's trying to lock up
Big
October.
Better.
M4
She
nevertheless
is.
won. Big M4
She
nevertheless
is trying to
won.
lock up October. Mel, we
She's eating
can't.
y'all up already. I'm not gonna lie.
All
People
right,
gotta
Dory.
lose
Enough
their day out
clip.
here.
All right, I'm muting you now. Mel, enjoy your time in Atlanta. We always love and appreciate you coming up here and being spicy mayonnaise. That's great. I love that. And whoever is starting the recap room, I will be in.